Parents of Reddit, what are some things your child does that is kinda fricked up? My 4-year-old daughter refers to people as humans. I know it's technically correct, but hearing her say something like, "Look at those humans over there, they're riding bikes," or "That human waved at me," is unnerving. My husband thinks it's hilarious, so occasionally he'll do the same thing. Your child was a superior life form that reincarnated into a petty human. Karma is a B. My kid and her friends had a pet ladybug on the school playground. For a couple of days in a row, they would come out for recess and were sure they were playing with the same ladybug. Whether they were or weren't, they thought it was the same bug. One day, they came out and the bug was dead. Or they found a dead ladybug. Whatevs. So they decided to make a memorial and bury the bug beneath a rock and a leaf from a nearby bush. Seriously, in the process of picking the bug corpse up to take it to its grave, a gust of wind came along and blew it away. They couldn't find the body, so they found another ladybug, killed it, and buried it in the grave. That took a pretty dark turn. My 2-year-old son insists on licking his shoes, but only the sides, not the top or the bottom. Both every time he puts them on takes them off, as well as when he exits a building. We try to stop him, really, but sometimes crap happens. Sounds like that could be an OCD tendency. My son had an imaginary set of parents that were far superior. Drove a better car, had a better house, let him have dessert even if he didn't eat his vegetables. When he got mad at us, he would always talk about how much better his other parents were, even went so far as to draw a map to their house in art class during kindergarten. I got some strange looks from teachers that year. I finally got fed up when he kept proclaiming they would be here any minute to rescue him from eating peas and made him sit in front of the house and wait. He gave up after 2 hours and never mentioned them again. Maybe you were kidnapped by the other parents and he had to rescue you from where you were trapped in a snow globe and you just don't remember. He talks to the corner of the living room sometimes. I think he's talking to his shadow. My husband and I jokingly still make the sign of the cross though, you know, for reasons. Mine randomly speaks in a British accent. Given that she is born and bred in the Nick metro area, the fact that she has no relatives, teachers, or friends that are British, has never been outside the Nick area, and that it follows no pattern I can determine. I don't know what to think really. Other people ask me about it and I blame it on a TV show. Truth is I have no idea, and it is beginning to creep me out a bit. One of my children at work wrote a note to one of the lesser-liked teachers that said, "Dear trash boat, you are a trash boat and everyone knows it. You should be ashamed of yourself." This is the best thing I've read in this thread. Whispers SHHHH. Mommy, there is somebody behind you 3 years of age. My daughter would have very specific insults for the other children from a young age. When she was about 11 or 12, if she was talking about a mean girl at school, she'd say, "I hope she grows up and gets trapped in a loveless marriage," or "I hope you get pressured into donating an organ to an estranged family member." Don't know how she thought of these things or where she heard them, but the best was when we were called to the office of her school because she told some kid, "When you're old and sick, your children will pretend they're too busy to visit you." Bonus. To her brother when she was 14. "If you touch my hair dryer again, I'll pray to Jesus every night to give you an allergy to your own semen." Honestly, your daughter sounds freaking hilarious. I'm kinda hoping she decides to do stand up or something. My twin boys were around 4-5 at bath time. One stuck a shampoo bottle, without lid, on his dong. Apparently was hard enough that while laughing spun the bottle on his young hard-on. I laughed so hard I had to leave the bathroom. Came back and the other boy was spinning the bottle while they both laughed. Had to regain composure and tell them to quit. Freaking savages. Your sons are hilarious. Oh man. I work in childcare and have some great responses. 1. Had a 4yo girl who would purposely pee her pants, take them off and throw them at the teachers when she got mad. 2. Had a 2yo boy who would be playing nicely, then look at another kid and do this weird head tilt while his expression went all glazed, then do something like kick the other kid in the face or smash them with a wooden block. 3. Had a 2yo girl who would sit bolt upright from nap every day at exactly 1 PM. Every single day. Did not matter when she fell asleep, noises, anything. Built-in alarm clock. 4. Had a 3yo. Boy who ate crayons. No idea why. If this kid got anywhere near a crayon he would have it swallowed before you could blink. Had colorful poops. 5. I had a 1yo. Girl who made the noise from The Grudge. Would just sit there and make that weird rattling gasping sound. Freaked me out. 6. 1yo. Girl who ate hair. Any hair off the floor she found. Dog's hair at home. She'd rip out her own and eat it. It was gross. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Kids are freaking weird. They make believe they're making YouTube reviews of their toys, especially if unpackaging for the first time. I'll hear from their bedroom, "Hey guys, today we're going to talk about." My son pretends to be filming YouTube videos when he plays Minecraft. As soon as he starts playing, he'll begin his intro, "Hello everybody, and welcome to Minecraft videos. Today we're going to be..." My younger brother and sister like to torture bees. They pick them up and tear their legs off and drown them. I make them stop when I'm around, but I'm not always with them. They are both sadists. Don't have empathy for anyone but themselves. My brother has repeated to me how much he wants to kill people. Regularly makes comments on how much he wants to crush babies' heads. Will bite me for no reason. When I ask him why he just bit me, he said he had a strong urge to do so. My 18mo hits people in the face and immediately apologizes by petting the same face he just hit. I think your child might be a cat. Not a parent, but there are a few things I did that were freaked up as a child. 1. I didn't like this female driver who picked me up from kindergarten to drive to daycare, so I made up false rumors about her to get her in trouble. I told my parents that she insulted me and called me stupid even though she never did and was nothing but nice to me. My parents reported her and she got in trouble. 2. My dad frequently made me angry as a child and still does currently. He also had severe anger issues and would punish me over small things. One day I was just so angry that I thought about chopping him up. I picked up the butcher knife from the kitchen and approached him. Luckily, I never did. I put the knife back where it was and no one got hurt, though I did got told off. 3. When my parents were discussing about how China's population was causing a lot of issues, I suggested that we kill people in China then because I thought it was the logical solution to the causes. Population. I got a lecture afterwards about how genocide isn't right. We are Chinese. The last 3 words made me laugh. Oh, I have a story for this. Okay, she's not my child, but it was still fricked up. My mom was friends with this woman who had 2 older girls, 14-15, and a young daughter, 6-8. I'd actually babysat the younger one on occasion and on the surface she seemed okay. She had Barbie dolls like most little girls, except she would hang them, with rope, around their necks. She would hang them from the taps in the bath, in her bedroom, and from the stair banister. She would give my mom drawings that were giant demonic rabbits, dripping with blood and killing things. She was such an odd child. Maybe she was just a fan of vernacular. My toddler is learning how to give compliments. He has long hair, so people will often stop us and tell him "you have very beautiful hair," to which he'll respond, "Oh thank you, you have beautiful hair too." I really like it when he's trying to be nice. He always compliments hair. We try to point out other things like, "Oh that boy has light up shoes." You can tell him you like them if you want, in an effort to get him to notice other things and be a bit more original and sincere with his niceties. It's staring to work. He'll notice purses, shirts, shoes sometimes. Mostly hair. But the other day we were taking a shower before bed and I had no response when he told me, "Mom, I really like your vulva. It's very beautiful." Cringe. He yearns for home. 7 years son. Chews his blanket. Like stuffs as much of it in his mouth as possible and just sucks it when he needs a break. He falls asleep like this as well. I will add he's diagnosed with autism and I think it's a sensory thing. Done it since he was 2 years old. That sounds like a sensory thing. I also have autism, mild, and I used to chew blankets. I still find myself chewing my shirt on especially stressful occasions. After reading all these, I feel so much better about my 3yo son. He just wants to see everyone's boobs. So I see he entered that phase that boys never really grow out of. When my daughter was 5, she would ask literally every adult she knew, "Are you handling your adult responsibilities?" Many people laughed, but others got mad. Literally every adult, everyone in the family, her pediatrician, teachers, dry cleaners, ice cream parlor employees, homeless people, old looking teens. My parents told me when I was a kid I would wrap myself up in blankets on hot days. They would of course take the blanket from me, so I started hiding behind the couch when wrapping myself up. Anybody have any insight to this behavior? You're a reincarnated demon who misses the fires of heck. Well, at the moment taking nutrients from my wife's body and making her randomly throw up food she's been craving so badly I had to go get it at 2 AM. According to most development timelines, they should stop doing that around 0 months. If your kid is already older than that, you may want to ask a professional for help. Not my child, but my 9-year-old cousin that I basically raised. She was in the tub and I was standing by the sink doing my hair. Out of nowhere she says, "You know what I want to do?" See, when I asked her what she thought C was, she says it's alcohol. Done. Well, crap. I have a younger cousin, about 9 or 10, who has a habit of acting like a horse, dog, or dragon, I guess, which she's feeling that day. I once went to her field day and I had lost her in the swarm of students when all of a sudden I see a child in the distance galloping. She also crawls on all fours in public to act like a horse. I think you might have an Otherkin on your hands. I'm actually a babysitter for a 2-year-old boy and wanted some advice or ideas about him. Ever since I've began babysitting him he would be just a normal 2-year-old boy, but every time he went down for a nap he would just sit in his room and talk, as if having a conversation. I watched him on the baby monitor and it usually took him about 30 minutes to stop talking and eventually fall asleep. This happens every time he goes down for a nap. One night I babysat him late, so I put him to bed. He did his usual talking and I needed him to be asleep by the time his parents got home. I went to his room finally and asked him who he was talking to. He then pointed at this closet door and said closet. I opened it up, not sure how I wasn't freaked out yet, and showed him that there was nothing in there. Fast forward, the last time I babysat him he went potty before his nap. He's learning how to use the little plastic toilet, and when he finally finished, he literally just sits there and tells me to wait in his room, lol. He walked out of the bathroom and I was pulling his pull-up back on and he goes, "The purple rabbit is in the bathroom." I checked the bathroom and there was nothing remotely close to looking like or causing him to say that. I put him down for his nap after that and as usual he talked for 30 minutes. I was sitting on the couch and had his monitor's volume up in case he started crying or got out of bed. I all of a sudden hear him singing happy birthday. Then I got on the little speaker on the monitor and was telling him that he needed to get some sleep. He then stops replying to me and goes. He calls me Miss Katie. Sorry, so he goes, "Miss Katie is out there. You want to go see her?" By this point I thought he was going to get out of bed, so I walked upstairs and when I peek into his room he is asleep. BTW, when he's talking he sits on the middle of his bedroom floor. There's other little things that have happened but this stood out to me the most. Sorry that this was so long. Nah, that's normal. He's 2. Not a parent, but I was in the bathroom at the zoo and a grandma and 4-5 years old boy came in and went to the handicap stall. The little boy uses the bathroom and then the grandma says, "Hold on, I need to go too," and seconds later the little boy says, "Grandma, I see your butt." She goes SHHH and he responds, "Would you like me to smack it for you?" And she started laughing and said, "No thank you." I used to do this thing where I would run up behind my son's mum ex-girlfriend and grab her and then just start like thrusting her for a joke. Like fully clothed rapid thrusts. I'd also shout, "It's over 9,000 feet. My son saw it once. I didn't know this at the time, and I caught him once doing it to the dog whilst shouting. I don't do that joke anymore, but he does. You deserve that one." Not a parent, but a good friend of mine pushed his sister into a campfire when he was 4 because she stole his holographic Charizard. B got what was coming to her. In all seriousness, she's totally fine. All of us are in our 20s, and no permanent damage. Hello, friend of the Clegane family. My 4-year-old niece for some reason was convinced that people have dogs and cats as pets to raise them to be bigger. Once they are, we will cook them and eat them. Get that, girl, some hogs. My professor in college once came into class and told us how his daughter had started speaking, but due to them using some German at home she had picked up saying "neen" instead of "no." He said she sounded like a little Hitler yelling "neen, neen, neen" at people. Still pretty hilarious to think about. My brother had to see a psychologist when we were little because he liked to draw really violent pictures of sharks eating people. His teacher thought he was a psychopath or something, but he just really liked the movie Jaws. This thread really discourages me of ever having kids. Well, all the people with regular kids aren't really posting because they have nothing to say, so yeah, there's that. My 5-year daughter is beautiful, polite and a true little princess. Butter wouldn't melt. However, almost every time she needs to fart, and I do mean almost every time, she rushes up to a random friend and family member and farts on them. It happens so frequently she doesn't even laugh at herself now. She just sort of does it second nature. She will run out of the room she's in solely to find someone. So yeah, there's that. I love my stepdaughter dearly, but she's gotten into the habit of lying, exaggerating stuff for attention. For example, one time she was sick but wanted to come over anyway. Her dad told her she should stay home and rest instead since she wasn't feeling well. And she spun it as, "Dad told me I'm not allowed to come over this weekend." Fortunately, the people she tries doing this with know what actually happened and don't let her get away with it. But she keeps doing it and just bust her out every time. I do this to people who lie and you won't believe what the truth does. After a while it will become too embarrassing to lie. My mom thought I was odd because I used to chew on everything up till the 2nd grade. Not a parent, but I used to eat mud and ants when I was a little child. My family always bring it up in family functions and it's awkward. I do remember eating random stuff off the floor. Ants are actually nice. I found that red ones taste like cinnamon and black ones taste like root beer. Not my kids, but my niece. Whenever my sister visits, she brings over her children. The youngest one is around 2 years old and hasn't been potty trained yet. Whenever she needs to take a dump, she'll come into my room and make eye contact with me as she takes a crap. Just minutes of her unflinching gaze as she relieves herself. Not a parent, but I was a difficult child. Around the age of 4 I developed some neuroses. Nothing formally diagnosed, just the best way to describe them. First of all, I would freak out if my palms were sweaty. I would tell my mom, "My palms are sweaty. I need a wet paper towel and a dry paper towel," which was apparently how I remedied the sweaty palm situation. We still joke about this one. Like, someone will spill something and my mom will say, "I need a wet paper towel and a dry paper towel." Second, if the seam on my socks somehow got into the wrong position, anywhere other than on top of my toes, I would have a meltdown. Third, my shoes could never be tight enough. If my heel would move in just the slightest when I stood up, meltdown. I remember my dad pulling my laces so hard that he had marks on his hands afterwards. Still not tight enough. One time they finally got my shoes tight enough and then we left on a road trip to my grandparents' house. An hour or so into the drive, I piped up from the back. "My legs hurt." Legs equals legs. I couldn't say the letter L properly at that age. I know, it just gets better. Apparently my shoes were so tight they were cutting off the blood flow to my feet. I'm laughing so hard right now while typing this all. Eventually we did find a solution to the shoe issue. Apparently while I required shoes with laces to be as tight as possible, it didn't bother me to wear loose snow boots. You know, like the kind that don't have laces and you just slip your feet into them. Kind of like Uggs, but if they were made of plastic in the late 80s early 90s. I wore those things all the time, including the summer. Not sure how, but eventually I grew out of all of these things. My son eats pizza upside down in crust first. It makes me really uncomfortable. No matter how many times I try to convince him to eat it the normal way, he won't. Gets naked and goes outside to crap on the lawn. She's not even that little anymore. Not a parent. One time, this kid comes into my room while I'm on my laptop. This little crap climbs onto my bed beside me and just smiles at me. I'm like, okay, I'll allow it. He's not doing anything. Then, without breaking his stare, without breaking that freaking smile, this sucker starts bashing my keyboard with his hands. Like, he goes into a frenzy, and I'm like, what the frick? And as soon as I shout, he stops, gets off the bed, and walks out. Strangest kid I've met. Only happened once, but I've heard stories where he's done similar things to others. My daughter just turned 3. For the last year or so she's been obsessed with police cars and fire trucks. Normal, right? She asks where they are going and why. So I tell her, they are going to help people. She asks why. They might be hurt. Her, I want to see the hurt people. Me, no, we want the people to be okay. Her, no, mommy, I want to see them hurt. A fire truck passes, where are they going? Mommy, me, to put out the fires. Her, no, I like the fire. Normal fascination, I hope. Kind of worried we've been raising a serial killer. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.